Hey there, welcome back to the Japan Game Junk podcast, the third of 3 in a row of stores visited in Oyama City of Tochigi Prefecture on March 31st of 2024. This time it's a store that has a lot of wistful memories for me. This is the Wonder Goo store in Oyama, and Wonder Goo used to be the absolute best. It was my favorite store by a huge margin in Japan. From first moving to Ibaraki Prefecture in 2004, which is the main, Wonder Goo area. Actually, now I happen to live very near the original Wonder Goo store in Tsukuba City. It was the best place up until, I guess streaming kind of took everything over. Back when physical media ruled everything. So CDs, DVDs, of course, physical video games. When I first moved to Ibaraki, almost no one had an MP3 player. When I first came to Japan, they didn't even exist. This was a place where everyone went to get everything because it was the only reliable place to get used software as well. And again, this was even before, online marketplaces other than auction sites were huge, where people could sell to each other easily as well. So way back when, and retro stuff wasn't so popular, you'd go there for your PS2 games or your GameCube games, stuff like that. And when I first moved to Ibaraki, before I really got into retro stuff, it was mostly Wonder Goo that would buy my games. And back when I might want to pay the equivalent of $20 or $30 for a used game and be happy it was that cheap, as opposed to now when I get junk for 100 yen. So the stores were really going downhill, I'd say, from about 10 years ago. Many stores closing. People just start to watch movies on Netflix. People would start getting music off of physical media, and games themselves as well. People just get stuff online cheaply. Off, Mercari or similar sites. So, yeah, there were some very bad times for Wonder Goo. Now Wonder Goo is trying to diversify, and they're getting a lot more retro stuff like they did not have before. So even now, you'll find stuff that wasn't there when I first started going there about 20 years ago. So anyway, I went to the one in Wonder Goo where I used to go quite often when I lived in the neighboring Yuki city of Ibaraki. And I would go there probably, every weekend, maybe even more than once, to go through all the stuff they have there and, pick up a DVD or two or to get a new game or something. It was a great place for me. And then when I lived further away for quite a long time, it went downhill, and very, very occasionally to visit that store, it was kind of bad memories, thinking about how much fun I used to have there and how there's nothing there I liked anymore. But now they're trying to bring in some more retro stuff. They're trying to have some various goods, some various interesting stuff, a lot of PC gaming stuff as well. And Wonder Goo as a whole should be getting better. I don't know if they'll open up any new stores in the near future, but it should be getting better. And a few things that I saw there at the latest visit that were worthwhile to share. So first off, just to note that this Wonder Goo is not easy to access unless you are driving. It is too far from a station. Even though the Oyama City is conveniently accessible by a bullet train from Tokyo, it is not easy to then go to the store. So I can only recommend to go to the store, and I do recommend to go to the store if you're already driving in the area. But some examples of things you can find there that I thought were noteworthy. First is that, do you remember Digimon? Digimon, the kind of like Pokemon, not Pokemon, I'm sorry, that's the Nintendo product. The Tamagotchi, if Westerners call it Tamagotchi, but like for boys, it's got those fighting monsters, and it also had its own animation series, all this stuff. The latest version, they had 3 different colors. I don't know if they're 3 different versions or just different colors, and brand new in box, they were about 6,280 yen. And currently it's 150 yen to the dollar, as weak the yen has been for years and years. Still, that's really expensive. I don't remember them being that expensive. I remember them being like $20 new, but they're getting to be a bit collectible now, so hey, maybe that's how much they're going for. But yeah, I haven't actually seen those before, especially new in box, and so if you're looking for them, there they are. Also, a bottle of retro game recovery liquid. So it works most of the time where you have an old cartridge or an old game card, like an old Mark III card or a PC Engine card or your old Famicom game, whatever, and the connection to the system is just not so great. You apply this liquid and then you blow it dry to a cartridge, the contacts, and it really, really helps in the connection between the game cartridge and the system. And I think it's the kind of thing everyone should have in their retro collection. This is the price it goes for almost everywhere, and that's 850 yen. I have seen it a bit cheaper around the country, but not enough where it's worth to pass up getting just to try to find it cheaper elsewhere. So anytime you're in a Wonder Goo, you can get this recovery liquid, 850 yen, and it is in fact worth having, like I said, just in case. One thing I noticed that was really, really weird was this little thing that just was a kind of one-off, temporary product that few people needed. The PS2 memory card reader for the PS3. If you remember the original PS3, PlayStation 3 systems, the 20 and 60 gigabyte models, could play PS2 games. None of the others afterwards could. And only those first release systems could use this adapter so that you could get your PS2 saves that you already had and put them on the PS3. Kind of a niche need, especially these days, but this adapter in box, 7,800 yen. It's about $50. And honestly, I've seen these things for more than 20 or $30, like forever, for over a decade now, so they must be kind of at a premium, kind of rare or whatever, but kind of blows my mind. Again, have it just to have it, sure, but not the most useful thing these days. Something else that's not so useful these days, but I definitely did want to have, was a Hitbox boxed MSX with printer and lots of software, 75,000 yen. So over $500, I guess. And I know that Sony had the Hit Bit. It looks like it was the Hit Bit. I don't know if this was like a special box set or whatever, or if the person who wrote the card with the name tag just got it wrong, but it was full of all sorts of MSX goodness, and I've never seen an MSX with its attached printer, branded printer, in the same box, and yeah, these days definitely a rarity, and if that's exactly the kind of thing you're looking for, I don't know of anywhere else to get it but the Oyama City Wonder Goo. Also there, that was pretty good, was a Mega Drive and Mega CD for 20,000 yen, tested and working. That's probably the cheapest I've ever seen it, where it's tested, working, not junk. Again, I got mine working at Mega Drive and CD combo, no cables or anything, but for 300 yen. But that was almost 20 years ago, before retro gaming got expensive. But yeah, if you want to get a Mega CD system that is guaranteed to work, this might be one of the cheaper places to get one these days in Japan, the Oyama Wonder Goo. And the weirdest thing I saw there that day was a Dragon Ball game, but one that you connect to the TV directly, not for a console. And it included a headband with an eyepiece. And I never really watched the animation, but I know that in Dragon Ball, like, some characters have this like thing over the eye so they can see power or stats or something, I don't know. And this existed where you could play the game on the TV, and you have these, this eyepiece, and I'm sure it will light up and do something, and that might be very great for fans of that series. So there you go. The Dragon Ball TV connection game with headband eyepiece, 2,580 yen, so less than $20 these days. If you love Dragon Ball Z and you want to have this, it's the only place I've seen it, and there you go. So yeah, those are a few of the things I found that were very good there, but also they have gaming chairs and mouse pads and all the character goods and stuff if you want to get some Hello Kitty disco ball figures or whatever. I don't know. They had a lot of weird stuff there that day on the 31st. Worth going, worth seeing, although I did not make any purchases on the day. More for me, it's just about the wistful memories from when I used to live close and really visit quite often. So, other than that, I can say that this is definitely a store more interesting for me than most people, but still I would recommend it if you're in the area in a car. So thank you so much for listening. I don't really have not much more that I can say about this whole city other than the stores I've mentioned. I want to try to include something else to mention that might be interesting in the podcast, but what can I say? It's an industrial city, and it's got a couple shopping malls, including one with a roulette. Not a roulette. What do you call it? The carousel. I almost call it the carousel. Also, the roulette wheel, except with horses instead of slots for a ball to fall in for gambling. Oh well. It's a stumbling, stammering ending, and I thank you for listening anyway. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to... Well, I can't see you again. I hope to not hear you again. I hope you hear me again very soon. And, I love you. Goodbye.